Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're all doing very well. Today is finally that Pokemon GoFest prep video that I've been saying I was going to do for a while, and now we're going to go through the various tips and tricks that are going to help you maximize on this event. It is a two-day event. It is this Saturday and Sunday, the 25th and 26th, and it runs 10 AM to 8 PM your local time. Both the Saturday and Sunday, so it's going to be an extraordinary, huge weekend for us players. Once we've done the tips, if you want to skip ahead to this time, you can see all of the leaked info that was APK mined. There's a Reddit link, I'll put it in the description, from the Sylph Road. Yeah, there's some pretty mega stuff has been released for Day 2, so that's going to be exciting. Obviously this depends on how you want to play. If you're going to go hardcore for it like me and some of the players here in Ealing, are you going to play from home? That's going to lead me into tip number one. Tip number one is obviously going to be how to prepare yourself. Now, preparing yourself, you're going to have to look at the rules and regulations of where you are and where you live. Us here in the UK, we've got, lockdown is not as strict as in some places. We're able to go out, we're able to socialise, a little bit of social distancing. Obviously, if you're not able to play from outside in your local parks, you're going to be playing from home. That's going to be a different story. Likewise, depending on where you are, if you have stops and gyms accessible, whatever. Here are some of the basics. Have a little look at where you want to play. Check out your rules and regulations. Are you able to go and meet up with people? If so, go to a park that has dense Pokemon spawns, good amount of Pokestops. Obviously, if you can't actually do that, play from home, because this GoFest is designed to be played from home. You're going to have the incense bonuses and things like that, and people will now have remote raid invites, so you're going to be very well catered for. If you're going to be playing out and about, you've got a couple of days left. I would seriously suggest, if you haven't already, get yourself an auto catcher. Now, I'm going to put a link to Code Junkies, which is the website I got this from, and Code Junkies are very, very good. They have a very good customer service policy. This Gotcha Revolve, I had the old Gotcha beforehand, and it has got me a load of shinies previously, and this thing is no different. This thing is very, very good. It does last battery pretty well, and I think you have to reconnect it every hour. That's the only downside, but this is going to enable you to play even when you're having lunch, when you've got the game off. So your Pokemon GoFest doesn't have to end when you turn your game off for a break, because it's 10 hours, you're going to want to have a break at some point. Second thing I would highly recommend, get yourself a battery pack. If you're going to be playing out and about, if you're going to be out for the full 10 hours, you're going to need one or maybe even two of these. Depends on if you're running one or two phones. This I got for the old GoFest last year. Now, this has a solar panel in it, which is fantastic. I think we're going to have pretty mixed weather here in the UK. Various places are going to have different, sunshine, winter, whatever. Look at your local weather forecast, ascertain what kind of gear you're going to need, and then if you're going to have sunny weather, get one of these. The solar panel is going to enable you to keep charging even when you're walking around. Make sure that you keep hydrated. Keeping hydrated is going to be extremely important, even if you're just, it's actually raining for you. Whatever the weather's going to be where you're going to be playing, you are going to want to keep hydrated. Now, get yourself a water bottle. I've got a chili bottle, which is fantastic. Full 10 hours, that's a lot of walking around, a lot of being under the sun. If you're not going to be at your full potential, then your gameplay experience is not going to be at your full potential. Touched on the weather. Prepare yourself for that weather. If you need a raincoat, take it with you. If you need an umbrella, take it with you. I'm kind of hoping that it's not going to rain, because lugging the camera around and an umbrella is extremely difficult, particularly when you're trying to quick catch. Take a rucksack, make sure that you're catered for, take a warm layer if you need it. Just make sure that you are prepared for every eventuality. Even for Dortmund GoFest, we had our rucksacks and we had various bits and pieces in there, making sure that we were catered for in case there was a sudden, typical European or English downpour. Make sure that you rest up the day before, because it's going to be an intense weekend if you're playing out and about wherever. Obviously, if you're playing from home, you can just keep charged at your desk, or in the living room you can take it quite chilled, but for us, you're going to see the hardcore game experience. That's prepping yourself. Now let's move on to how to actually prepare yourself in your game. Tip number 2, you're going to need to clear out your Pokemon storage. You're going to have to, no matter if you're on 300 bag space or if you're like me, 3,000. I would seriously recommend trying to bin a third just around a third of your bag space. You can do the maths and work out how much storage you need to clear out to make yourself be able to have a third Pokemon storage available to you. The reason for this is that having a good clear out, trust me, is extremely relieving. To be brutally honest, I have been going through over the past couple of weeks. I did a big clear out ahead of the Safari Zone and then ahead of Weedle Community Day, and I got myself down to about 2,400 Pokemon out of 3,000. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Then we've obviously had more shiny community days, and I got 69 shiny Weedle. We've just had Ghastly, which you saw last video, got 40 of those. However, now I'm down to about 2,100 Pokemon out of 3,000 in total, which 900 spaces. I'm pretty bloody impressed, considering I go hardcore for pretty much every raid boss there is that's actually good. I get pretty decent shiny luck. I keep good raid counters and everything, so I'm going to go through some of the tips of what I did to bin my Pokemon. You need to look at your Pokemon in about 3 or 4 different categories. First of all, is it actually going to be that useful for you? You know, a raid counter or a PvP mon, or if it's a shiny or something like that. This is a prime example. I have had a couple of 100% Rattatas. Now, I've kept one, but I had a couple of like purified ones because I got them Shadow Mons. I purified them to be a 100%er. Realistically, you're not going to have an army of 100% Rattatas. I know it would be hilarious to take them into a raid, but you're not going to need it. So I binned those hundos. I actually threw away some 100%ers. If it's a useless hundo, keep one if you actually want to keep the hundo of it. Point number 2, are you going to be keeping it for a trade? You've got to think quite stringently about that, particularly the fact that Pokemon GoFest is going to have some pretty incredible spawns. We're going to have raids going live. There's more stuff from Day 2 that's been released. If a Pokemon is, you know, got trade value, for example, if it's a shiny Community Day mon, that's going to be quite good. Is it a legendary Pokemon from 2017, 2018? If so, yes, it might hold some trade value, but bear in mind, you're only allowed 1 special trade per day, and we've got a couple of days left, so realistically, you're only going to need to keep, what, I would say like 2, 3 of each legendary to trade them if they're old, especially. If they're new, has it had its shiny released yet? Is it going to come back round in the near future? For example, Dialga and Palkia. I threw away pretty much every single one of them if they're not good IV. They're going to come back round with a shiny. They're from 2019. They're not that usable in the trade. Another good way to view this is, am I actually going to put some Stardust into this Pokemon? Again, I'm going to use some examples. I sadly haven't screen recorded any of this because I was doing it late at night and so binning all of my Pokemon basically, but I've had a couple of 96, 98% Community Day Pokemon. You know, Swampert 98%, Blastoise 98%, Blazerkins 98%, with all the very best Community Day Pokemon moves, and I actually thought it was like, there are now far better Pokemon to use. And do I have a 100%er of this? Yes, I do. Am I prepared to use an Elite Charge TM to give that hundo the exclusive move? Yes. Okay. Why am I keeping the 98 and 96%? I don't need an army of Blastoise. They're not that useful. You have to be quite strict with yourself, and this is where I think, for me, I look at it as, do I have a hundo? Is this the ultimate top IV of this mon that I actually have, and is it going to be usable? For anybody who's lower level, who doesn't have as many, you know, I don't know, good Pokemon of that certain typing, have a little look and see, is it, for example, fire types? We've just had Reshiram around. Did you manage to do some Reshiram? If so, they're quite good for a lucky trade. I would hang on to a few of them. I've got quite a few left over. In that case, you really don't need to be hanging on to Infernapes. You don't need to be hanging on to too many Blaziken. You don't need to be hanging on to too many Typhlosion. You've got to think about the tier list in each typing and go, right, where does this Pokemon sit in? Then that will give you the accessibility to just bin it. If you do these tips, you'll be surprised how many Pokemon you actually find yourself throwing away. Also, if you want to go a bit more hardcore with this binning stuff, I haven't personally binned a single shiny Pokemon because I don't want to lose how many shinies of each Pokemon I've had. If you want to, you can bin bad IV shinies. Think, a shiny is a good lucky trade, but then again, 1 special trade per day, 365 special trades a year, that's actually not that many, realistically. A word of advice, Niantic may be nice and actually increase the storage ahead of GoFest in a surprise drop. They might drop it in the next couple of days, or they might drop it on the actual GoFest day, in which case I would suggest 2 things. Buy some storage, because it's always good to have some, and how good is it going to feel if you've cleared out 1,000 bag space, and the Niantic grants you another 500. You're going to have 1,500 spaces left over. That's a lot of catching. Tip number 3, items. Items are critical. Almost more critical than your Pokemon storage. The number 1 item you are going to be using is, of course, Pokeballs. Now, Pokeballs in the 3 tiers, the red, the blue, and the yellow. You're going to need to have as many Ultra Balls as you possibly can, which is where I think opening your gifts every single day, you can open 30 at the moment, just open them leading up to the event. That's going to maximise on the Pokeballs you can get. Also, spin stops as much as you can now. Just try and get as many items as you possibly can. And as you build up your bag space, you're going to find yourself getting more normal Pokeballs than the Great and the Ultra. You want to start deleting those normal Pokeballs and increasing the Ultra Balls as much as you can, because Ultra Balls have a much higher catch rate. It means that if you do the quick catch technique, which I'll come on to a bit later for some of you, you're not going to be wasting time double catching in a quick catch technique a certain Pokemon. One word of caution I would say is that the normal Pokeball is the only Pokeball that is usable by an auto catch device. You will probably stock those up during the day, so don't worry too much about that, but maybe keep 50 to start with, and then like during the day, as you start reducing and using your Ultra and Great Balls, your normal Pokeball storage is going to start increasing, which means that when it comes to lunch break, you can start using your gotcha effectively. Item 2, the potions and revives. Now, at the moment, those are quite useful because we're remote raiding, we're doing global raids, hint, come and join the Discord. But realistically, you're going to start deleting the normal, the super, and potentially quite a lot of the hyper potions, because you get a lot of hyper potions from tier 5 raids, and same with revives and max revives. You're going to want to start deleting those towards the end of the week. Maybe that's the last resort, because if you think about it, if global raids are featured and there is word in the code, drop a little hint that raid Stardust is going to be double or triple the amount. So raids are going to play a nice big part of this GoFest, hopefully. If that's the case, you're going to see lobbies of 20 pretty much on Curem full, so you're not going to actually need to use your revives that much at all, because you'll be able to go in with whatever it recommends and take it down. Item 3, the berries. Now, 2 things I'm going to suggest. You want to start dumping your raspberries, normal raspberries and nanabs into gyms. Get yourself into gyms if you can, and get yourself some free Stardust and some coins, free coins. Perfect. Deleting those and putting them to actual use rather than just throwing them in the bin is like, it's a win-win, because you don't want to be having those berries for GoFest. You want to be using pineaps, because we're going to have potentially wild Gibble spawns, which was hinted at in the image for GoFest, and also wild Snorlax. That might be the new shiny. We're going to have unknown, we're going to have, you know, all kinds of stuff. We're not 100% sure on what the spawns are going to be. We know the different habitats: grass, water, fire, friendship and battle. PvP mons in the battle thing, that might be, you know, Scraggy. We might have wild Scraggy. You want to stock up on candy for that. So Pinap, Gibble, Pinap, because it's a rare Pokemon. Pinaps do very fortunately come out of the gifts, so again, opening your gifts is going to get you a lot of Pinap berries. The other berry that you're going to potentially want to be having, which drops quite regularly, is the Golden Raspberry. Now, the Golden Raspberry is beautiful if you want to have a shiny catch, just bang, done. If it's a rare Pokemon, you're going to want to put a Golden Raspberry on it. You get these from raids, so I would highly suggest, if you have the ability to do a remote raid, do as many as you can. Do a Curem raid, because the level 5 raid is going to get you more Golden Raspberries than any other raid. Also, you're going to get some rare candy. And the Silver Pinap. Silver Pinap's great, but it only really drops from a very rare quest or from your Adventure Sync rewards. So have some of those, but you're not going to be using them as much. Another item is rare candy. Now, rare candy obviously drops from raids or from a very rare quest. Your rare candy, if it's just sitting in your bag, put it into a mon, for God's sake. If it's in your Pokebag, all it's doing is just holding up bag space, and that is bag space that you are going to want to use to hold up Ultra Balls and Golden Raspberries and Pineaps and everything like that. Using your rare candy in a mon that's going to have longevity in the game. Have a look at the top raid counters. Go to Pokemon Go Hub, go to Go Stadium, look at these websites and find out what Pokemon is going to have the best longevity as a raid counter, or you're going to want to have a max team of 6 or something. So I would personally suggest, if you're hogging rare candy, chuck it into 1, Curem, because we're raiding it at the moment, but it's also got the black and white forms, and the black and white forms are going to be incredible, so that's looking ahead. Also, Zekrom. I don't think there's going to be a better electric type in the game. I mean, somebody might correct me in the comments, which, you know, fair enough. But Zekrom at the moment is the best electric type in the game by a country mile. So put your rare candy into it. If you've got Pokemon candy, it's sitting in the Pokemon and it's not holding up your bag space. Simple. And the other thing, we're going to come back to this, is the auto catch. Now, my last Community Day video, Ghastly, I was actually quick catching every Ghastly I saw to get Stardust, and I was doing that on camera, blah blah blah. Boring video. But I had this running in the background, auto spinning stops to just get items, and I didn't run out of Pokeballs. Now, admittedly, I'm not catching for as long and as much, but I still use a decent amount of Pokeballs and stuff on Community Day. You just do. It's 6 hours of catching a Pokemon. This kept me stocked up for 6 hours, and I still had 200 or 250 of normal Pokeballs and Great Balls towards the end of Ghastly Community Day, and that's just thanks to this. This thing running stops while you're walking around, if that's, again, if you actually have stops. I would seriously suggest getting one of these. If anything, if you don't want to catch, if you don't want to do anything, it auto spin stops for you, and that's going to mean that you're getting items and not wasting your time spinning the Pokestop manually when you could actually be catching shiny Pokemon. Now, let's go into what you could potentially expect from this GoFest. It's obviously a GoFest from home, so you're going to have to bear in mind that incense is going to play a critical part in this. Now, Niantic could be very nice and make it last the whole event, 1 incense for 10 hours, but I highly doubt they'll do that because Niantic. On the other end of the scale, they could be very stingy and just mean that incense is going to last 1 hour like it does now. We'll find out probably from you lot in Australia, so give us the heads up please, that'd be fantastic. Make sure that you have 20 incense available to you, because if you're playing from home, that is going to be your #1 way to get Pokemon. And I'm going to suggest this, is that the incense is going to be like a special event. It's going to spawn a Pokemon every 30 seconds. Community Day, and normally at the moment with, you know, the measures we've got in for lockdown and stuff in the game, it's spawning a Pokemon every 60 seconds. Now, if we check out my Safari Zone video, I was catching Pokemon with incense, doing a quick catch, and then the Pokemon would just literally spawn a new one. It was a 30-second window, so that's a lot of Pokemon coming off incense. That is 120 Pokemon per hour off of your incense. So that is a potential 1,200 Pokemon off of your incense. And that's in 1 day. So it's 2,400 Pokemon over the weekend of 20 hours of incense. That's a lot of shiny potential, particularly considering the fact that it's a special event, so the shiny potential is going to be through the roof. Use your incense. Make sure you have 20 available. Also, make sure that you have some star pieces, because there is a potential raid Stardust, there is catch Stardust bonuses. So if there's triple catch dust, put your star pieces down. Again, they are going to only last half an hour, so you're going to need 20 of them. Coming on to buying things. Now, when it comes to buying things, the fabled one is not only raid passes, which are going to play a nice part in GoFest, but also incubators. Now, we all have our own point of view on the eggs in the game. I personally think they're a bit trash. For this, you are going to be getting extremely good Pokemon out of the eggs. Trust me, if I could tell you one thing from last year's GoFest, is that I hatched some very good Pokemon out of, I think it was 2Ks, with a super incubator on that, and with the half hatch egg distance at the moment, that's like 0.3 of a kilometre or something. Every 300 metres you're going to be hatching a 2-kilometre egg if you're out walking around. We saw things like Larvitar. Gen 5 wasn't even out last year, so we were having Beldum, Bagon, rare spawns out of 2-kilometre eggs, and also shinies. Now, I hatched last year a 98% shiny Meditite. That was my very first shiny Meditite, was from a 2-kilometre egg from GoFest. Saying this, obviously I can't guarantee that anybody else is going to get a shiny 98 or a shiny from an egg at all, but you are going to get very good Pokemon out of these 2-kilometre eggs. If you're ever going to buy incubators in this game, buy it for this weekend if you're walking around, because seriously, the amount of dust you're going to get, the amount of good Pokemon you're going to get, the amount of Pokemon you're going to be able to trade as a result of this is going to be pretty incredible. The wild spawns. Now, we've had more confirmation from Niantic as to what the different biomes are going to be, as to what some Pokemon are going to be spawning are. We know there's going to be unknown. Definitely unknown, don't know what they're going to be. It may spell GoFest, it may spell something to do with global raids, who knows. The most important spawn that we've seen advertised for GoFest is going to be Gible. Gible is extremely good as a Pokemon, both a ground and a dragon type, and it can be shiny. And shiny Gibble is one of those like elusive bastards that doesn't appear very often. That is a key one to lucky trade. Making sure that you're prepared to have these rare spawns coming in. We may have shiny Snorlax because that was the only non-shiny Pokemon available on the poster. We may have wild Charizard. I mean, who knows? If you do everything that I've just said with the Pokeballs and bag storage and stuff, you're going to be perfectly capable of maximizing and not missing out on any of these exclusive rare Pokemon. I would also seriously suggest, if there's a catch Stardust bonus, catch everything. You can work out by searching 0, 1, 2 star, and you can bin as quickly as you can during the day if you run out of space. You have to take these tips with a pinch of salt, because obviously this needs to be accustomed to your play style, playing from home, playing out, playing with friends, going, walking around. Depends on what you're doing. A word of caution. So Niantic Support tweeted out this, saying that with the rotating habitats, we're going to have fire, water, grass, battle, and then friendship. Now, the friendship one, there are gift bonuses apparently. So Niantic said don't open any of your gifts until you have that friendship window. They're rotating once per hour, so when you get the friendship window, I don't know which order they're in, save your gifts for that friendship window, because you're going to have much better chances to get a special item, apparently, a special reward, and more items just in general. So, top tip there. Day 1 is going to be very much focused on these Pokemon and their habitats and stuff, so that's probably when we're going to get access to shiny Gibble and Snorlax in the wild, all of that jazz. But we're also going to have special research, which is going to release the mythical Pokemon Victini. I think I said it wrong before. This is a fire psychic type Pokemon. There is word that one of its moves is going to be incredibly overpowered, which would be cool. It will give it some nice purpose in PvP. We're going to have special research. Bear in mind that this special research is going to be catered to people who are in a rural area, who are in lockdown and stuff. So for once, rural players might actually be okay. Now that we've got the raid invites and stuff, if they say battle in a raid, I'm sure you can do a battle in the raid. Other than that, it's probably going to be catch 15 fire type or whatever. The quests will rotate depending on the habitat you're in. So Victini coming day 1, very excited. Day 2 is where they said before, we're not going to tell you what's going to happen. But of course, the good old APK miners have gone in on that we know exactly what's going to happen. We had Team Rocket hiding in a balloon in the background of the poster. We've had the balloons introduced. Giovanni now had Suicune, which has rounded out the legendary birds from his use, and the legendary beasts. What is coming now, spoilers, skip ahead if you don't want to know this. Giovanni is going to have Shadow Mewtwo. That's right, he's actually going to have Shadow Mewtwo. Now, this means that his battle is going to be incredibly difficult probably, because Shadow Mewtwo is going to have access. If they give it Psy Strike, that's extremely powerful. Shadow Mewtwo with Confusion is going to be just a monster. The other thing is it's pretty much going to be a Team Rocket focused day, so there's going to be a Team Rocket quest line which is going to make you take down grunts, and the grunts have specific GoFest dialogue, there's specific rewards. Along with this, Arlo, Sierra and Cliff are going to have respectively the legendary bird shadow Pokemon, so this is a redemption for anybody who hasn't played the game prior the shadow beasts. So you're going to have a chance again to get Shadow Moltres, Zapdos and Articuno, which is going to be epic. A few other tips and pieces. Bear in mind that I'm sort of skim read this article, and it's linked in below the Reddit post with all of the information if you want to go and have a look and read through it properly. But there's words on new stickers and medals, obviously. There's going to be a Niantic sticker apparently, which is going to be fantastic. If you want to send some bad luck in a gift, put the Niantic sticker on it. And there'll be a GoFest medal, all of this stuff. So there's quite a lot in the GoFest details in that APK mine, but the key stuff is that Team Rocket. And Team Rocket, it's going to be annoying, you're going to need potions and stuff, I'm going to say that. Having said delete a lot of them, you're probably going to want potions, but just bear in mind that preparing yourself for day 1 of GoFest is going to require a completely different play strategy probably to day 2. Focus on getting the Pokeballs and the berries and stuff and your bag cleared up for day 1. For day 2, you're going to want to focus on having revives and potions, probably Pokeballs as well because you're going to be catching them, but bear in mind that you're going to be needing to take down Rocket Grunts, so you're going to need to be reviving and potioning up your Pokemon again. This will be collecting potions for you. over the course of the day. When it comes to day 1 being over, you're going to need to sort through your bag. The play day ends at 8 PM, but you're going to need to sort through your bag because again, day 2 you're going to be catching stuff, you're going to be battling Team Rocket Grunts, Shadow Shiny potential, all of this stuff. You're going to need to look through your bag, search 0, 1, 2 star, bin off bad Pokemon, but also think, is this a trade? If you find any Gibbles in the wild, I seriously suggest keeping them for trades. However, if you find Snorlaxes in the wild, also, we don't know what other Pokemon are going to be spawning, so you're probably going to find yourself binning quite a lot of Pokemon anyway, so just bear in mind that even once the day is done, your work isn't done. Get yourself prepared. If you're prepared, then you'll be A-OK for this weekend. I am very much looking forward to it. This is some MISC information, shall I say. So raids are going to play a pretty important part in this, so if we can, I'm going to put the new rooms in the Discord live. We're going to have the raid system broken down into tier level 1 and 2, level 3 and 4, and level 5 chat rooms retrospectively. So there'll be 3 rooms. You can coordinate raids with people who are online. Just make sure that you are able to understand, you know, the person who's organising the raid is responsible for keeping an eye on that list, making sure that they get the right invites done. The raid invites and stuff are going to play a key role in this GoFest, getting more Stardust, getting good Pokemon, the friendship level increase, all of that stuff. So come and join the Discord. Come and join the Discord, share your friend codes, you can partake in the raid battles globally. We've got a lot of people from New Jersey, so that's fantastic for everybody over this side of the pond. When our GoFest is live, we'll try and invite whoever's online to our raids and stuff like that. One thing I failed to mention is how the quick catch works. Now, I did do this little tip for Rhyhorn Community Day, so I'm going to steal that bit of video. What you need to do, when you encounter this Pokemon, you want to give it an Ultra Ball or Great Ball, and that's going to mean that you're going to have to spend less time trying to re-catch it over and over again by clicking it. But before you throw, you need to press the Pokeball selector menu, where you select your Pokeballs, press it and drag across the screen to the left, and you can actually still access the Pokeball throw. So you can then, once you've clicked and dragged, throw the Pokeball, and once it hits the Pokemon, you see the flash of light and it says great, nice, excellent, whatever. Release the Pokeball selector, and what that's going to do is leave the entire menu up, so you're going to have access to the Pokeball selector, the berry menu, and the run button. Now the run button, you hit the run button, and then you basically skip the catch animation. You can obviously then click on the Pokemon, and if it disappears and it says error, whatever it is, it's 26 or something, I think, that either means that you've caught the Pokemon, which hopefully you will have if it's an Ultra Ball. The other option is obviously it's run permanently, but you can then check your storage and see that it's actually caught there. This is such a useful technique. I know a few Android devices have been patched to not be able to use this, but the quick catch technique meant that on a 3-hour Community Day window, I could go from catching 250 Community Day Pokemon to catching 700-800 Community Day Pokemon. That is a huge margin, and it's so much time saved. Obviously, if you have a shiny, you want to take the time, make sure you actually catch it with the golden razzle with that. But if you have like a Gibble that's 100 CP, Ultra Ball, Pineapple, bang, catch, and then you can move on to the next one. The more Pokemon you see, the more chance of a shiny you're going to get, and the more Pokemon you're going to get, the better Stardust gain you're going to get. So the quick catch technique is hugely useful and affluent. Practice it over the next couple of days leading up to the event. Even if you're finding it a bit tricky, just keep practicing it, because once you nail it, once you get it right, it's going to save you so much time. So much time. And time is of the essence in this GoFest. I think that's everything covered. Let me know, are you excited for this Pokemon GoFest? Have you bought the ticket? Are you not buying the ticket? A lot of people are still being quite stingy and saying it's 15 quid. 15 quid is less than half of what we paid for our GoFest ticket last year. It's actually a longer time span, it's 2 days, and it's 15 quid, is less expensive. I'd seriously recommend buying the ticket. Make sure that you are stocked up and prepared for this GoFest from wherever you're playing. Let me know if you're actually going to be playing from home. Let me know if you're going to be out and about. We're going to be playing out and about in Ealing, hopefully. If the quests are rare candy, we're going to do a Lotad Day-esque route and hit every single stop that we can find. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you are new with the notifications on, and smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you managed to actually follow these tips, see how many Pokemon you managed to bin off, see how you prepared your bag. I would really very much like to see how people who don't have 3,000 bag space are catering themselves to this event. You know, are you down to 500 Pokemon storage, or are you literally on the the bare basic 300? I'll be very interested to find out. Anyway, I will see you all in the next video, and best of luck for this GoFest. We'll be out for the 2 days hardcore. Take care, everybody.